Offseason work is underway for the Houston Texans, and DeMeco Ryans set the tone on a couple of different topics. Let's get into it. Welcome into the channel. I'm Cody Stoots. Let's talk some Texans, and let's talk a little bit about what DeMeco Ryans had to say as offseason workouts get underway for the Houston Texans. Just a little bit ahead of the draft, but some of those free agents are in the building. Some of those new additions via trade in the building. And the work towards 2024 starts to get underway. DeMeco Ryans covered a variety of topics, but the four big ones that jumped off the table to me are what we're going to discuss. Let's start with the addition of Stefon Diggs. Obviously, the addition of Diggs has been one of the biggest things that's occurred for the Texans this offseason. Diggs, though, had a pretty big down spiral in the latter part of the 2023 season. Overall, a still really productive 2023 season, but the skid at the end of 2023, the final 8 games or so, has a few people worried, but not the head coach of the Houston Texans.
Again, when we watch the tape on Stefon and the playmaker that he is, right, we always go back to the tape and we look at a player in totality. We don't look at, this amount of weeks or those weeks. We look at the entire season. We look at the guy's entire career and what he's done, how he's been productive. The guy's been an all-pro player. He's been a Pro Bowl player, over 1,000 yards for multiple seasons. So we're excited about adding Diggs to our team.
That skid at the end of 2023 for Stefon Diggs coincided with a couple of different things, too, by the way. He played a bunch of really good cornerbacks, including Ahmad Sauce Gardner, Jalen Ramsey, L'Jarius Sneed a couple of times, and the Bills changed their offense. They changed their offense to focus a lot more on running the ball and quicker, shorter passes. Khalil Shakur, their slot receiver, got involved a lot more. Their tight ends were used quite a bit as well. So it's easy to explain some of the issues Stefon Diggs might have had down the stretch. Oh, by the way, he was the only top wide receiver on that team, the only 1,000-yard threat at wide receiver on that team. Diggs never played with a 1,000-yard receiver in Buffalo, and he's going to play with 2 of them in Tank Dell and Nico Collins. So they certainly have the potential to get to 1,000 yards, along with Stefon Diggs, making for a very fun potential offense for this Texans team. 2023 was a bit of a surprise for many when it came to what the Houston Texans were able to produce. And now heading into 2024, with the great production out of 2023, the fantastic offseason they've put together so far, there's definitely a target on the Texans' back. So DeMeco Ryans was asked, how does it feel to be the hunted after being the hunters last year? Listen to the head coach explain this one.
Appreciate the question, but we're always hunting. That doesn't change for us. We're always hunting. Expectations on the outside, whatever that may be, it really doesn't change who we are, right? It doesn't. The expectations from the outside don't permeate inside our building, and now we have to change what we're doing just because of outside expectations. It really doesn't matter, right? My message, our focus as a team is it's always been consistent, the same as it was last year, is, man, you show up and we continue to get better every single day. You're the best at your position, you're the best for our team, then that's what wins games, right? For us, when everybody is really striving, putting the work in, right, to be better. And that's what it's all about. We don't care about expectations. Talk doesn't win games. We have to go out and play good football when that time comes.
Talk doesn't win games. We're always hunting. I love that from DeMeco Ryans. It's more than just words, too. This is an important element and an important aspect to the 2024 Houston Texans, because in 2023, they had trouble handling success and they had trouble learning how to compete after winning. And I think back to early on in the season, they dominate the Pittsburgh Steelers. They absolutely kicked the teeth in of Kenny Pickett and company. And then they go on the road and lose to Desmond Ridder and the Atlanta Falcons. That was no fun. That was not a good game. That was not a good performance. They bounced back from that with a win. They hold on to beat the New Orleans Saints. They go on their bye week, and then they turn in their worst offensive performance of the season to that date, and still one of the worst offensive performances overall when they go on the road to Carolina against the Panthers and stunk the joint up against Carolina. Now, that is something that went away. They ended up turning that thing into a 3-game win streak. They only lost 3 more games the rest of the season after that Carolina hiccup, and they learned how to win as a football team. Well, there's some new faces, obviously, but a lot of the key players from last season are still a member of the Texans, and they'll have to learn how to handle success. And DeMeco Ryans said it. They don't care about expectations outside the building. They got to focus on their stuff, but they're still hunting. I love that comment. That was one of my favorite comments from what DeMeco Ryans had to say. He also had plenty to say about Tank Dell. Good news for the wide receiver coming back from his injury.
Tank is back. He's starting to get in with our guys here at the offseason program. So excited to have Tank back. You know, that was a devastating loss for us last year, losing him. He's such a dynamic player for us, such an inspiration for myself, for a lot of our team. So I'm excited to see Tank back working with our guys, and excited to see him make that same jump that I talked about year 1 to year 2.
The jump from year 1 to year 2 should be awesome for Tank Dell. He was on his way to being one of the most productive rookie wide receivers in the entire league. And even though he missed a good portion of the season, he was still one of the most productive rookie wide receivers in the NFL last season. Dynamic is a great way to explain what Tank Dell brings to the table. And I'm even more excited to see what Tank Dell has for this Texans offense when Stephon Diggs is taking some of the heat away from him, when this team is running the football better because Joe Mixon and hopefully the offensive line is healthy. And it is a really exciting aspect of what the Texans have on offense when you factor in what Nico Collins and Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell can do together and how much their success helps each other succeed in this offense. And CJ Stroud said it best when he talked. He said, if a guy's open, he'll find him. And you know what? Tank Dell is going to be open quite a bit this season. Coming back from that leg injury that was nasty. It was a nasty break, but it wasn't an ACL. It wasn't an MCL. He should be back as good as ever for this season. As DeMeco Ryans said, he's already working towards 2024. Speaking of 2024, it's a big year if you're headed into year 2. Tank Dell, one of those players. We talked about CJ Stroud. He's one of those players heading into year 2. And, of course, Will Anderson, one of the key pieces to this team heading into year 2, along with Juice Scruggs. He's a key piece as well. That jump in year 2, that's expected from DeMeco Ryans and especially for his quarterback.
All of our younger players, especially the rookies last year, that year 1 to year 2, that's where you see the biggest jump, or I've seen in my career. And the guys have a true offseason to dedicate, right, and focus on themselves and them getting better. They don't have to worry about combine or draft prep. They can truly work on the things that we've asked them to do. And I think it's also a plus for him by having Coach Sloyd, Coach Gerard, having them back, and we're still doing our same scheme, right, same system. So he's already a step ahead of where he started last year. So I'm excited to see his growth from year 1 to year 2.
Same scheme, same system, only a couple of additions so far to get to learn in Stephon Diggs and Joe Mixon. Year 2 is setting up for CJ Stroud to have a monster year. He talked about it, DeMeco Ryans did, keeping Gerard Johnson as the quarterback coach, keeping Bobby Slowick as the offensive coordinator. Think about what last offseason was for CJ Stroud. He finishes up at Ohio State. He's got to go through the entire draft process. He's talking about learning for a day or a week a new offense to impress a team. Ultimately, he gets to the Houston Texans, and Stroud's already working towards 2024. A year ago this time, he wasn't even on the Texans, so he's already got his hands on the offense that he already knows. That's another big element of 2024. Training camp with all those new faces and a new offense in 2023, it was about putting the foundation in on the offense, learning it, getting used to it. The faces are familiar. The offense is known. You get Stephon Diggs integrated, you get Joe Mixon integrated, you figure out who the offensive line is, and you can really start doing some high-level stuff in training camp with this offense and start putting together an even higher level of success with this offense early on in training camp, and those training wheels, they're off. Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, CJ Stroud, Dalton Schultz, Joe Mixon, and so many more on that offense. They are going to be cruising sooner rather than later when it comes to that offense. Those are the big takeaways from me, from DeMeco Ryans. If you've got some big takeaways off of what I said, get in the comment section down below. On your way down there, throw me a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. In the description down below, I've got all the information for the draft party that I want you to attend April 27th, Daley Sports Club. You don't want to miss out on it. The information is down below in the description. I want to see you there. My good buddy Landry Locker of the Locker Room here on YouTube, he wants to see you there. Our buddy Figgy Fig from Sports Radio 610, he's going to be there. We're all hanging out day 3 of the NFL Draft. Rounds 4, rounds 5, rounds 6, and 7. All going to watch those. Talk about what happened in 1, 2, and 3 over the course of this offseason as well. It's going to be a blast. You can't miss it. It's going to be the draft party to attend when it comes to this year's draft, so don't miss out on it. Don't miss out on anything here on the channel as the draft draws nearer and nearer. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss anything. Can't wait till we talk Texans again soon. Appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it. I flipped the ending around, but we'll do it again. Can't wait till we talk Texans again soon.